Good morning. My name is Brad Williams. I am the Vice President of Government Relations at the Detroit Regional Chamber, and thank you for joining us once again for one of the Chamber's teletown halls in response to the COVID-19 crisis. I hope you and your family members and loved ones are well and staying safe and getting ready to celebrate the most unique Memorial Day weekend that any of us have ever celebrated. As we are approaching, a slow phase-in of economic restart this morning, we have a very important guest with us this morning. His name is Darryl Hunter, and Darryl is the Director of Tax and Employer Services for the Unemployment Insurance Agency. We at the Chamber have had the good fortune of meeting with Darryl virtually on a number of occasions over the last several weeks to learn about a pretty innovative program that's been around for a while, but has new interest for employers in the wake of this crisis called WorkShare. And WorkShare is something that I think a lot of employers are going to want to take advantage of. It's a good alternative as we're looking to cut costs in the short term. And so, Darryl, thank you for being here. I know you've got some slides to share with the folks who are on the call today about WorkShare. So I'm going to let you share your slides, and then we're going to engage in some conversation and answer some questions about WorkShare.
Sure, thanks. Thanks for asking me to come along. This is a wonderful program that I want everyone in Michigan to know about. The WorkShare program is only used in probably about 20, 25 states around the country. All of a sudden, it's one that they're trying to get passed through through their state legislatures. But luckily, Michigan has one. It was started back during the Obama administration when we had the previous recession. And we had it sitting up on the shelf in the back of the closet that we never used because practically the unemployment rate was so well during, the 2017, 18, and 19. And it was sitting there. And then all of a sudden, within a matter of 2 weeks, we saw during the COVID crisis that many people were being laid off. So we asked that many employers, before they laid off the employees, that they use this program. Basically, the program is how an employer, instead of just laying off their entire workload, what they can do is put them on a WorkShare plan where they can work some hours and they can also get unemployment benefits. And I'll get to that in a minute. But that's how we use it. And then during the time of the governor's executive orders, many of those businesses were closed down. And so they put the employees on total layoff. And now what we're trying to do as it comes on, the governor will discuss with some of the things and some of the leniencies that she gave for the WorkShare program. What we're trying to do is restart Michigan using the program as she lists many of the executive orders. So what WorkShare is a state of Michigan program that can help employers retain their employees and restart their business during disruptions in operation. And as I said, we can use it as a way to start Michigan as well. It allows employers to bring back and keep employees using reduced work hours while employees collect partial unemployment, and they keep a portion of their lost wages too. They make up a portion of their lost wages too. WorkShare has traditionally been used to retain employers instead of avoiding layoffs. Now, as Michigan restarts its economy, employers are urged to use the program to bring back their workforce, their work staff. But one of the most important things about it, and the benefit that we just can't wait, and we're so excited and telling everybody, is that with that, according to the CARES Act, each employee that is on the WorkShare plan, no matter how many hours that they're working and how many they're on the WorkShare plan, they're going to be able to qualify for the $600 a week pandemic unemployment assistance money that comes in along with the CARES Act. And that's through July 30th, 2020, somewhere around there. And I'm going to go into that because I'm going to say that several times because I want employers to know that that's a good way of having the workforce to come back to work. A lot of times it's going to be hard for the employers to say, hey, we got your job, you want to come back off of unemployment. And they're like, no, well, I'm making a lot of money. Not. Well, now you make a lot more, and it's more of an incentive to bring employees back while you're using the WorkShare. Now, how it works, you can bring back the employees at a reduced rate, as I said, and they receive the money that they receive during their normal work hours. More importantly, they will receive the money that I just spoke of. And this allows the employees to start their business at a reduced capacity, and then they can build it up as they go along, as they need the employees to work a lot longer. The eligibilities of the program are that each employer has to have a UI account number, and they must be what we consider a liable employer. What we consider a liable employer is an employer that pays unemployment tax every quarter. So what you do usually is that every quarter, you'd send us your report of all your employees that worked all up to the $9,000 taxable wage base is what we have here in Michigan. And then whatever percentage is that you have of that, you send that and you let us know. So that's how we know that you're a liable employer. If you're a liable employer, you're eligible for work share. The employer must obtain approval from all collective bargaining units. So if you have a representative, if you're part of UAW or SEIU or those unions or whatnot, simply just go to them and say, hey, listen, we'd like to put the employees on work share as opposed to laying them off when we come back so that we can have reduced hours. I can't see the unions or anyone saying, no, we don't want to have part of that. We have not run into that yet, but it's a good thing to just to let them know that this is what's going to happen so the employers will know what's going on. And one of the other things is that the important things of the program is that the employer cannot modify any of the fringe benefits of the employee. So if the employee gets paid vacation time, like we have Memorial Day on Monday and the 4th of July coming up, that's not going to be one, that cannot be one of the layoff days. If that's what you pay for them, then they can go ahead and do it. The employee can take annual leave, sick leave, and if you pay for that time for them, that's fine too. But in addition to that, they will also get their benefits from unemployment at the time. Now, as far as the employee, in order to qualify in there, they must meet the monetary eligibility. So that means if you could be laid off, then naturally you could be on work share. If you're not eligible to be laid off and get unemployment compensation, then you would not be eligible for the work share program. But one of the expansions that we did do is that we allowed it for part-time employees and any newly eligible employees. So a lot of times what happens is that previously the employee had to be a qualifying employee and have so many quarters behind at that employer, but that's not anymore. According to the governor's executive order, part-time employees are eligible, and also if an employee comes new from another work source or something and they're new to this job, they could be eligible for unemployment. And one of the most important things that we have is for the employees to know that once they start back into the workforce under the work share program, what they have to do is they have to discontinue any previous unemployment claims. If they're on unemployment full time, they just don't certify that week. And then what happens is that the employer just takes over all of that for them. And as I said, I've mentioned most of the work share advantages. It minimizes and eliminates the layoffs. Business can reduce, they can adjust the hours of the employee as they feel the need of work that's there. They keep their fringe benefits. It saves money. It allows employees to continue to work as opposed to being completely laid off. They're actually to go back to work and they still receive some unemployment benefits. The flexibility in employers. So now one employer could have an application. In that application, they can have several plans. You can have a plan of whether you want your secretarial staff, if you want your wait staff, if you want your engineering staff, your legal staff. All of those can have different plans. You can have, according to shifts, your midnight shifts, your day shift, your afternoon shift. All of them can be combined or even into a plan. You just have to have at least 2 people to a plan, and then you can just go ahead with work share. Everyone on that plan has to have the same reduction, though. So as you can see in the third bullet point, an employer can reduce their hours from 10% or to 60%. So a 10% plan would be that the employee will work 4.5 days during the whole week. And then if they made over $17 an hour, which is about $35,000 a week, they get a menial $32 in unemployment from the state. But with that, they also will get the $600 FPUC money, the Federal Pandemic Unemployment Compensation, which will mean that they will get their regular salary, they'll get the regular unemployment that we give them, plus they get the federal unemployment money with that. and it can go as high as 60%, which means that you'd work 2 days and you'd be off 3 days. And based on your $362 maximum, you get 60% of that. I think I'm saying that right, 60% of that. So that's the benefit of the program. And as you can see on the last bullet point, you can have 10 employees on a 20% reduction, or you can have 20 employees on a 50% reduction, or you can have those, and then you can have regular employees that you are not on work share. They can work their regular hours. And then the ones that are not on work share or working regular hours, if you decide that you just don't need them anymore, you can lay those off. So it's very flexible for the employer. The employer has up to 52 weeks to have a plan. So when you're signing up, the employer signs up for the plan. They can do this for an entire year from the time that they sign up. One of the benefits of it is that when you sign up for the plan, the employee will get that $600 up until July, but until the end of the year, the federal government pays for the money that you've used for work share. So now, for those employers who know what I'm talking about, when you pay your quarterly tax, it goes into what we call your own account, which is a reserve. Well, that reserve will remain untouched until the end of the year if you use work share. So your tax rate will not increase. You will not be drawn from that reserve, and it'll come from the general fund. And the reason why is because the governor wants Michigan to get back to work. And this is one of the benefits of it, so that all of that is not going to be used. Your business will be unchanged as it goes to an unemployment, your reserve. You're still required to pay your quarterly tax and report those earnings, but it's just that fact that the money will not come out of that reserve and your tax rate won't go up. So it's like having a free car accident and your car insurance won't go up until the end of the year if you use work share. So that's one of the good benefits. And we ask that when you put the plan in, if you want to use the plan for this week, if you're just hearing this and you want to use the plan for this week, it's good. You can go ahead and do that, but you have until tomorrow night at 11 o'clock to do it. Otherwise, if you start again on Sunday, then you have the whole week to put your plans in for that. Some of the exclusions for that, the employees cannot work 40 hours a week, more than 40 hours a week. So naturally, if it gets to the point where you say, hey, you find out maybe in June that your workforce is coming back on, or you had a good week and you needed your employees to work that extra day or those 2 extra days that you told them to take off, no problem. You have your plan. There's going to be a portion in there where what you have to do is you just hit the non-certify button. So you won't certify that particular or those particular employees, so that those particular employees will get your benefit, but unfortunately they will get your wage salary, but they will not get the unemployment salary, nor will they get that $600 federal money as well. Another disqualification is the fact that seasonal, temporary, or intermittent employees will not qualify. So if you have just people that are working for the summer, or people that were working previously that were just cleaning snow, hopefully we won't get any more of that, but we're in Michigan, you never know. But those people will not be eligible for the work share plan. And one other thing is that the work share benefits are taxable. However, if you're signing up for work share, we cannot do a deduction for that. So you have to govern yourself accordingly when you pay your taxes in 2021. And these are screenshots right here of certification. So this is what I was speaking of, is how you certify your employee, and this is the termination of the plan if you'd like to terminate the plan. Again, when you're terminating the plan, that does not mean that you're disqualifying yourself from work share, because remember, you have 52 weeks. It's just saying that for this particular week, you do not have to certify. Now, one of the benefits of the program that I want to explain is the fact that when an employee goes into regular unemployment, that employee has to sign up for the unemployment themselves. They have to call the number or go on the website and do that, what everyone's been complaining about, and not being able to get on the phone lines or getting through. The employee does not have to do that. With work share, the employer does. So the employer has control of the unemployment at that time. So all the employee has to do is go to work, come home, take their day off for work share, and then wait for the money to come into their account. It's just that simple. We have another thing called employer file claims that's similar to that, only the employee has to certify every week. On WorkShare, the employer does all of that, and the employee does not have to worry about us, because I know there's been a lot of complaints of getting through. We're working through those problems, but it's just the fact that with this program, the employer does all the work and the employee does not. One of the biggest questions that we have that is not a UI program is the Payment Protection Program. I have problems saying that, the PPP, so I'll refer to that. You have to keep in mind that employers that are part of PPP can still participate in the WorkShare program. However, its design needs to be considered when the goal of PPP is for loan forgiveness. So when you're getting your PPP money, what you really do is you're paying your employees back some of the lost wages that they have. If you're paying the employees back those lost wages, but we're also giving them unemployment, you're kind of burning the candle at both ends, and the employee will get stuck at the end because we will see that they've been double paid, and then they will be required to pay that money back. So make sure that when you're participating in the Payment Protection Program, that you're following all the instructions and that you're not double paying the employee. And these are just some of the information for that and how it goes through the system for it, and how it's until June 30th for the PPP. So it's important that if you're going to participate in both programs, that you know that you're not double paying the employee. And I just wanted to give an example of a manufacturer, let's say, that's wanting to start their business back up, and they realize that they need to have this for the next 12 weeks. So let's say they have 100 employees and they were laid off and they want to come back after being off layoff. And you want to decide that you're going to have them on a 70-30 plan. So that means they're going to select a 30% reduction plan. So I like to refer to it as days work. So that means the employee may work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday morning. That will be a 30% plan. So in essence, what's going to happen is that the person will make $1,000 a week. The employer is going to pay them $700. We will pay them the benefit of 30% of their maximum benefit, which would have been $362. We will give them 30% of that. And then we're going to put on top of that the $600 federal money. So under the WorkShare plan, that employee would make more than $14,000. I mean, I wish $1,400 in a week, as opposed to just the $962. Because when they were on full unemployment, they were receiving the maximum $362 benefit plus the $600 FPUP money. So as you can see over on the side, bringing them back to work under WorkShare, they're going to be making more money than if they were on unemployment. They may not make as much money if they were on full-time employment, and in some instances they would. But we just want to let you know this, because this is something that will bring back employees. We have heard a lot that employers are trying to start up their business, and the employees are kind of like enjoying not working, and they're receiving this federal money. They will know that if you receive WorkShare, they will practically make more money than just being at home, not working, and then the employer can get their business started. So next, these are just some things that I've already mentioned with WorkShare, how it's expanded due to the governor's executive orders to expand. Previously, it was only 15 to 45%. She's expanded from 10 to 60%. If the employer has had problems with their unemployment account in collections, they've had more in reserve, or any of those type of things, we have waived that for you, and therefore you would qualify, whereas previously you would not. So we have the governor has done that, and we have also included part-time employees that are eligible as well. And then naturally, I keep saying it, but that PUA money is going to be available. The FPUP money, it says PUA, but the FPUP money, which is the $600, will be given to the employees up until July 31st. And also, the WorkShare program, again, is 100% federally funded through December 20th. So any money that you pay out to the employees will not come from your reserve. The government pays it directly for you, and all you have to do is have your workforce working. So in conclusion, I just want to say that this work share plan is something that is just very, very, very important for restarting the economy in Michigan, as we hear that the executive orders and the stay-at-home policies of the governor are going to be released in the coming weeks. As you can see, she's just released some of the things. Some of the restaurants in the UP and Traverse cities are going to be opening for the Memorial Day weekend. I'm sure in the Detroit area it's going to be expanded as well. But the employers we know are not going to have full capacity in their restaurants. But if you're going to need some wait staff, if you're going to need some people that are busting the tables, or some dishwashers, you can bring all of them on, but just separate them according to their days of work, and then put them on unemployment work share on the other days, and you can have your entire workforce come. You don't have to train new people. You have the people that you have already there, and you can just bring them back. And remember, up until December 30th, the government pays for it, and up until July 31st, they will get that $600 FPUP money. We have some frequently asked questions, but I can take some as well. But here are some here. It says, if an employer chooses work share, must he or she use it for their entire business? And the answer is no. You can have some of your employees work full-time, and then you can have the rest of them on a plan for work share. But again, you cannot lay off the person that's in the work share program. If you lay off one person, you have to discontinue the plan and lay them all off, or just lay off the individuals that you want to and start another plan afterwards. It says not every employee within the affected union is a union member. That doesn't matter either. You can have union member and non-union members or different unions within one plan. It's just however the employer wants to do it. What other responsibilities does an employer have after the plan is approved? The employer is responsible of letting the employee know that they are actually going to be on the work share. We send the employee a letter telling them about the parameters of the work share, how much money they're going to receive, and all those other things in there. But a lot of times the employers will let the employee know some of the specifics. That I know that the state of Michigan is going through the work share plan, as a matter of fact, now. Fortunately, the people in UIA are not there, so hopefully you don't think that, because we are there at your service working overtime and even weekend hours to make sure that we're helping to assist in claims and adjudications of the problems that we're having with some of the accounts. But some of the other state employees are going through this, and they're receiving the work share plan, and it's been successful so far. What do I do if the employer has been approved? If the employer has been approved for a work share plan? Well, as I said, the employee is going to get this Form 1054 in the mail, and it's going to give them instructions on what they have to do in order for them to continue, which basically means it's basically nothing. The employee just goes to work at the hours the employer says, and then they will receive the money in the bank for the time that they worked, including for the unemployment. When will I receive my weekly work share amount? Usually after the employer certifies the plan after they have done it, after they have received the application and approved for the program. After the certification, the employee should receive the money within 5 to 10 days for the first time, and then after that it comes regularly based on the certification of the employer. Some of the times when we get a big jolt of it, we work through Bank of America with the money through the money cards. And so with that, sometimes it takes a little time for that, but you should be getting it within 5 to 10 business days. And then also if the employee wants to have a direct deposit, then all they have to do is just dial this number. You don't have to talk to anybody. This is an automated number, so I know how sometimes people are complaining that they're not able to get connected. If you just press 2 during that, we have to press 1 for English first, and 2 for Spanish, and then after that, you just press 2, and then you'll give your social security number, and you go through the prompts, and you can have your routing number and your account number, and the money will go directly into your account. This is for employees. And if they forget their PIN, actually, you have to speak to a representative for that. We notice that a lot of times people are being blocked out of the system, and the reason why with WorkShare is because they have 2 claims. And remember, I said earlier, if you have a previous unemployment claim, the employee does, they have to discontinue that claim and not certify themselves because the system sees that there are two claims and it will throw the system off as a fraud. And so therefore, you'll have to talk to somebody in order to get the reset and get that all taken care of. This is basically it. These are just all regular questions that we get. I can take some questions if you like. I don't know how much more time we have. We got 5 minutes. I didn't know I talked that long. So if you have any questions, you can just let me know.
I know, Darryl, there are a number of questions, I think, in our question room, and my colleague, Adam Majestic, has been monitoring those. So I'm going to ask him to jump in and ask some questions that I know have been on the mind of chamber members since this program has been launched. So Adam, why don't you ask some of the questions that are on the minds of chamber members right now?
Great, thanks. Thanks again, Darryl. That was a great presentation. It's covered a lot of different questions that we've had. The first question I have is, can an employer qualify if they have an unpaid balance for a previous reporting period?
Absolutely. We covered that in the PowerPoint. Because of the executive order, the governor knew that this was going to be a problem with many employers. So if they have collections, if they have a negative reserve balance, yes, they will still qualify for it. Go ahead and sign up. And when they sign up and hit the application, it will immediately go through, and then they will go ahead and do that. Another thing is the fact that we have a website, which is michigan.gov/workshare, which I have up here. At that time, you can go to that. All this information that I have, the PowerPoint is up there. All these questions are going to be there. We have frequently asked questions, and you can, if you have any more questions out that we can't get to now, you can go to UIA Workshare at UIA-Workshare at michigan.gov, and you can actually call our ombudsman. She's actually listening now, and she's ready and there with our team answering any questions that you have. Okay, go ahead. But yes, that person will qualify.
Great. The second one is a really common question we've been getting is salaried workers that don't necessarily clock in or work 40 hours a week. How does Workshare work for that?
Yes, you know what? That's a common question that we're getting for those and also those who work on commission. According to the Workshare plan, it's based on the hours worked. So if that person is a salaried worker and you are going to put them on a 40% plan, that means that they can only come to work 3 days a week. And then what happens is that based on what their salary is, they will get the 40% or 10% or 20% of that weekly salary in Workshare benefits. That's just how it is. They just have to be off that amount of time. Another caveat is if they work another position or another job and you work those hours, then you would not be eligible for unemployment or for the Workshare unemployment benefit. So you can't work other hours of another job as well.
Great, that was actually my next question. So skipping that question then, what if an employee wants to take some vacation time, especially this weekend coming up or even 4th of July?
Correct. We talked about it in there. That's fine. You go ahead and do it. That's the benefit of the program. The employer cannot change any of the fringe benefits. So if the employer pays for a sick leave, if they pay for vacation time, if they pay for holidays, then nothing changes. The employer can, for Memorial Day, if they have a 20% plan, which means there's a day off, then Monday is Memorial Day. They get paid their regular salary. They work Tuesday and Wednesday, or they say they want to have take a vacation day on Tuesday so they can have an extended weekend. That's still part of their regular pay. The only benefit that we're going to give them is the unemployment benefit for that Friday or whatever day that they take. And that cannot be their vacation day or the holiday, if that is explained enough.
Yeah, that is. Thank you.
So there should be no change.
The next question is, can we use this program for individuals that are employed by a temp agency?
No, the temp agency would have to use it. You cannot, because you do not, the employer does not put them on their quarterly wage report. I think the temp agency would. So then it would be the temp agency's prerogative to do that and not the contracting employer, which would be you.
Great. So the next question is more on the employer side, is how complicated is it to draft their work share plan? I know we had to skip over a little bit just because of time constraints, but could you just briefly go over just how long it would take?
There is a how-to video on the WorkShare website, michigan.gov/workshare. It's a how to sign up, and it shows you a picture of every button to push. We wanted to make sure that we do that, even if it's a bulk upload. We wanted to make sure that everyone has that. And if you need assistance, just give us a call and someone will help you through it. But it's a very easy process. It may be time consuming, but it's a very easy process. It's just very quick, boom, and you're there.
Great. So one more question here for you. You said employees can't get laid off because of cost-cutting reasons while on WorkShare, but what if there's a cause for their termination?
I didn't hear the question. If there's a what?
What if there's some sort of cause for their termination while they're on WorkShare? Like if they all of a sudden violate the rules?
So that's different from being laid off. If you want to fire them, for those reasons, and I just use that term because that's the term that we use in-house. If the employee is going to be fired, or if the employee quits while they're on a plan, that's fine. You just won't certify them. And then what will happen is that if they go and file for unemployment afterwards, then that goes through our regular adjudication process for regular unemployment, just as if though they were you fired them if they weren't on the plan. But the employer would not certify that employee if they quit or were fired if they were in the plan. But they just can't lay them off.
Okay, great. Last question for you here. Can you hire new employees into your company and then add them into the WorkShare plan as soon as they start working?
Absolutely. You can do that on the first day. But we just ask that you tell that employee, hey, I got a job for you, but we don't need you full time. We need you to be on the WorkShare plan. So here's your plan. And they know that before they start. And if they're going to be in the union, you have to let the union know, and then that employee can start right in on the WorkShare plan until better times come, and then they can work full time, and you won't need us anymore. We can put the program back on the shelf in the back of the closet.
Great, thank you. I'll turn it back over to you now, Brad.
I'm trying to get my video to come back online, and it seems to be disagreeing with me. Oh, there I am. Okay. Adam, Darryl, thank you. I know for myself and Sandy, our CEO, we had an aha moment about this program about 3 or 4 weeks ago when we finally realized the power and potential of this program. And I think probably a lot of the people who were listening in to this webinar today probably had the same kind of aha moment, Darryl, that this is really a tool that a lot of our members are going to be able to use to keep their employees afloat economically, as well as help their businesses be able to weather this storm in the short term. So I thank you and your team at UIA for all the work that you're doing. I know this is a trying time for our public servants too. So thank you for your time today and to explain it to us. For those who are listening in, know that the slides that Darryl shared are available and are going to be available on the Chamber website at detroitchamber.com/COVID19, as well as a recording of this session, so you can go back and hear it. We started with some of the FAQs. We didn't get into all of the details. We're also going to go back through some of the questions in the chat room that we weren't able to get to and see if we can help out with some of those as well. This is hopefully the first step in helping you to take advantage of this program. But we thank you for joining us today. We hope you enjoy your holiday weekend as best you can, safely at home or at the very best at a socially distanced gathering of 10 or less. So have a great weekend.
All right, thanks.